that you're not able to influence people, that you're not able to capture their attention, then I would suggest trying out a few exercises to figure out how you can make yourself more relatable, because that may be the only problem you have. Hey peepers, I'm Saprina, and today we're going to be talking about storytelling, but from a perspective of you as the character. So a major pain point I've noticed in many people who are trying to tell stories is that they're not able to make themselves relatable. What this means is that essentially they're losing out an opportunity to connect, and an opportunity to make a difference, an opportunity to realize a lot of their amazing projects and ideas. You've probably heard of the acronym WIFM, right? What's in it for me? Well, the way that applies to business, that applies to storytelling as well. World storytelling champion Margot Leitman explains this really well in her book, where she says that actually nobody cares about your story. You may have the most fantastic story, but unless we feel connected to it, we will not care about it. So the trick is really to make us care about the story by making us feel like it is our story in some form or other. What you need to know about this relatable idea is not that you have to be like everybody else. That's not the point. You don't have to be a carbon copy of the next person. What you do have to be, however, is an underdog. And the reason is because in our tribal brains, there are two things that we really care about and that we have evolved to care about a lot. The two things are status and connection. In fact, psychology professor Brian Boyd explains that whether we know it or not, we're always trying to raise our status vis-a-vis our peers, and we are also evaluating other people based on their status. But the paradox is, even though we're continuously striving for higher status, in our minds, we always see ourselves as lower status. We are always the underdog. I came across an incredulous example that even Prince Charles feels low status in comparison to all the billionaires that he hangs out with, because they have so many more gardeners than he has. We can always find comparisons to make us feel less. And while in life we're not encouraged to find comparisons like that, in storytelling actually, finding a way to show that you are lower status in some form or other can allow us to feel empathy for you. So the first exercise is really just an exercise in observing what you already like and what you don't like. So I would ask you to make a list of the books, the stories, the films that have impacted you, but mainly the characters that you really relate to. I then want you to ask yourself why you relate to them so much. What is it about them that speaks to you? What is it about them that's interesting to you? Because what's interesting to you may not be interesting to somebody else. But if it's interesting to you, it means that on some deep level, you see yourself in that character. I would also like you to make a list of the characters that you do not like, the people you really do not relate to, that annoy you, that irritate you. And the same question is, why? The second exercise is going to be a bit more challenging. It requires you to really put yourself out there. I would ask you to interact with strangers and to ask them their first impression of you in the first 30 seconds. Not everybody's going to be honest, but at least if you can get a few people that you don't know to give you that feedback, it'll really help you understand how do you come across without even trying to. Because at the end of the day, we all are characters. We are characters in this journey of life, and each of us comes with different things. Like, for example, for me, I noticed very early on that my voice is something that puts me in a different position compared to other people. They remember me because they say, oh, you're the girl with that voice, whether it's a weird voice or a nice voice or whatever. But the point is, I know, okay, my voice has an impact. So how do I use it? How do I make it work for me? So once you've done those two exercises, the third one I would recommend is to make a list of things that you have struggled with in the past. Because an underdog essentially is somebody who struggles. You're not given everything. And there is a need for you to be goal-oriented. There is a need for you to move. And that movement is something that we all connect to because we're all striving, right? We're all striving for higher status. We're all striving in life. The fourth exercise is to look at what are you bad at. So make a list of all the things you're bad at, and then go through that and look at which are the ones that you're bad at that you actually care about. Because you can be bad at lots of things, but if you don't care about it, it doesn't really matter. Finally, the fifth exercise I would recommend you do is complete the sentence. I wish I were more like blank, but instead I am more like blank. Normally, this is going to create a dichotomy because there is a person that you want to be like, but there is also a realization of where you are. For example, I will often say, I wish I was like Michelle Obama or like Barack Obama or any of these amazing, incredibly gifted, talented people. However, I think I am more like Michael Scott in The Office or Andy Bernard in The Office. I am striving for something completely different and I am much more awkward, or that's at least how I feel inside. By doing that exercise, I think you will see for yourself how funny the situation is and how absurd it is. And that'll allow you to take a bit of distance and see how you can play with those two things. Even if you were to start a presentation explaining that, your audience would immediately laugh along with you because they would understand that you have the self-awareness to see the absurdity. The only caveat I would give you at this point as you're going through this journey of discovering how you will appear to others, whether you are relatable or not, is do not force shortcomings you don't have. This is not one of those situations where you're in an interview and someone asks you what's one of your weaknesses and you say, I'm a workaholic. That is false. That is inauthentic. Really, really look through what your shortcomings are, because you will have some. We're all human. We're all flawed. That's what makes us interesting, and that's what makes us annoying, and that's what makes us human. So look for those and really be authentic when you say them, because otherwise you might just come across as very arrogant and inauthentic and lacking in self-awareness, which is not a good place to start to create connection. Those are my 5 tips for you to begin exploring how to make yourself more relatable if that is an area that you've been struggling with. Let me know how you do with those. Let me know your stories. The worst thing that can happen to you when you take on these exercises is that you have an amazing story to tell if people give you an insight that you were totally not expecting. In the process, you will grow and learn and only become better. I'm Saprina. Thank you for watching, and until next time.